Everyone at the table laughs. You laugh too. But somewhere between your mouth opening and the sound coming out, something shifted. You felt it in your chest before you heard it in the room, that the joke wasn't random, it was aimed. That wasn't humor, that was a status check with an audience. And your laugh, the automatic one, the one your body produced before your brain could catch up, that was your answer. You just told the room exactly where you stand, and you didn't even know you were being asked. By the end of this video, you'll recognize every version of this test. You'll know what they're really measuring when they joke like that, and you'll know exactly how to respond so you never hand over your position again. But here's what most people get wrong. The response that feels like strength is usually the one that costs you the most. Humor is the only social weapon you can use in public and get rewarded for. Think about that. Every other form of aggression, insults, confrontation, direct challenges, comes with a cost. But a joke? A joke gets applause. That's what makes it the perfect vehicle. A joke is a sonar ping. It bounces off you and the echo tells the room everything it needs to know about where you stand. React too hard, and you're the one who can't take it. Stay quiet, and you just accepted whatever frame they put on you. It's a door that only opens inward. No matter which way you move, they learn something about you. Your nervous system processes group laughter as social consensus. When a room laughs, your body reads it as a verdict already delivered. That's why the sting hits even when you know the joke wasn't fair. Your system heard the room vote before your mind finished processing the words. The reason you couldn't respond in that moment isn't weakness. It's because you were solving two problems at once, the social one and the emotional one, in a window smaller than a breath. Not because you're slow, not because you're fragile, but because nobody ever showed you the question hiding underneath the joke. So let me show you, test by test, what each one sounds like, what it's really asking, and what your answer should be. You're at a bar with friends on a Friday night. Someone's telling a story, the energy's good, and then one of them turns to you, mid-sentence, and says something like, "Yeah, that sounds like something you'd mess up." Or maybe it's, "Don't let him plan it. Remember last time?" Quick, light, barely a full sentence. But you felt your jaw tighten before the laughter even finished. Here's what actually happened. That joke wasn't throwaway. It was a positioning move. The person who said it placed themselves above you in front of the group, not through confrontation, but through humor that framed you as the person things happen to, the punchline, the one who messes up. And by laughing along, you co-signed that frame for everyone watching. Most people do one of two things. They laugh louder than anyone else, trying to prove it rolls right off. Or they fire something back, sharper, faster, trying to even the score. But here's the problem with both. Laughing harder tells the room you'll absorb whatever gets thrown your way. And firing back confirms the hit landed. It announces that the test worked, you felt it. That's the data they were after. The move isn't volume, it's weight. You let the joke land. You don't flinch. And you respond with something that doesn't fight the frame, it steps over it. A calm half smile. You've been saving that one, huh? Not aggressive. Not defensive, just unmoved. The principle is simple. Don't contest their frame. Make it irrelevant by refusing to live inside it. Your energy says, "I heard you. It didn't register." That's the answer that rewrites the next interaction. That one stings, but you can see it once you know what shape it takes. The next one hides better. Because it happens in a room where everyone's supposed to be professional. The worst response to this next test is competence. That sounds wrong. Stay with me. You're in a meeting, maybe a team lunch. Someone who's been at the company longer than you says something like, "Oh, we'd better let the expert handle this one," with just enough emphasis to turn the word into air quotes. Or they bring up something you said last week and repeat it back slightly wrong, slightly exaggerated, and get a chuckle from the room. Your face stays neutral, but the heat climbs the back of your neck before you've even processed the sentence. What they did was reframe your competence as entertainment, not a threat, not something the room should take seriously, something to be amused by. And the group registered it, not as an insult, but as a joke, which means the ranking happened without anyone noticing it was one. You weren't misreading it. You were the only one reading it at all. Your instinct is to prove yourself, to clarify, to demonstrate that you actually know what you're talking about. But the moment you start justifying your ability, you accept the premise that it was in question. You step into their frame and start auditioning for a role that was already yours. Instead, treat the joke like exactly what it pretended to be: nothing. A slight nod. Yeah, I'll add it to my resume. Brief. Dry. The energy of someone who doesn't need to prove what the room already knows. When someone shrinks your competence through humor, the answer is indifference, not evidence. You're not on trial. Don't act like it. Pay attention to this next one. Because the wrong answer doesn't just lose the moment, it sets a precedent. Most people, after the joke I'm about to describe, do something that feels like recovery. They lean into the role. They become more of the punchline, hoping that owning it means it can't hurt them. That instinct, the "I'll beat them to the punch" instinct, is exactly how you lock yourself into a position you never chose. You laughed when you shouldn't have. You accepted a rank that was handed to you. You wore the label because rejecting it felt worse than carrying it. Rewind. You're at a party, standing in a loose circle of people you half know. Someone gestures between you and another person and says, "He's the one you call when you need it done right. This guy's the one you call when you need a good time." It lands. The group grins. Your face hasn't decided what to do yet. This one has a name among people who study dominance behavior. They call it the demotion joke. It places two people side by side and assigns rank through contrast, so casually that objecting makes you look like you can't handle a comparison. But underneath, the person telling it just told the room who matters and who's decorative. They used your face, your smile, your compliance as the evidence. The move isn't to compete with a comparison. It's to step outside the frame entirely. Something unhurried. That's a fun way to put it. Then you shift the conversation. Or you turn to the other person and say something that puts you both on the same level. We should start charging. Calm. Inclusive. The energy of someone who doesn't accept rankings they didn't agree to. You don't fight the joke, you just refuse to move into the house it built for you. Everything before this was from people on the outside. The next one comes from someone closer, and that's exactly why it cuts differently. Your partner says something in front of friends. "He's so smart, just don't ask him to remember anything I told him 5 minutes ago." And it gets this warm, knowing laugh from the table. They're smiling at you when they say it. Their hand is on your arm. The tone is affection. The structure is a compliment, followed by a correction. And your nervous system can't tell if you were just praised or put down. That confusion is the test. What happened is someone who knows your real soft spots used one of them as a punchline, wrapped in enough warmth that any objection from you would sound paranoid. "I was being sweet," they'd say. And they'd be half right. That's what makes this version so disorienting. Two wrong moves here, pulling in opposite directions. The first is to laugh it off, but every time you do, these jokes become the official version of you in every room you both walk into. The second is to confront it right there, publicly, which turns affection into conflict and makes you the person who ruined a nice moment. The right response happens later. In the moment, stay easy. Neutral energy. Don't reward the pattern with a reaction that feeds it. But afterward, privately, you say something like, "That memory thing, I know you meant it light, but I'd rather you not do the highlight reel in front of people." No accusation. No heat. Just a line drawn where there wasn't one before. With people close to you, the answer isn't a public performance. It's a private edit of what's allowed. You're not punishing them. You're shaping the pattern before it becomes permanent. This last one is the reason I made this video. If you only remember one thing from everything I've said, let it be what comes next. The strongest response to this final test is silence. Not the defeated kind where you go quiet because you can't find the words. Chosen silence. The kind that sits in a room like a drop in temperature. The kind that makes the joke echo back to the person who said it. Here's why. Picture a family dinner. Everyone's there. Parents, siblings, maybe an uncle who always has an opinion about your life. At some point, someone brings up your job, your direction, your choices, and wraps it in a joke. "Still figuring it out, huh? Don't worry, we'll wait." Or, At least you're having fun. Someone in this family should. The table laughs softly. Your fork goes still on your plate. This is the deepest version. It doesn't target what you did. It targets who you are, your direction, your identity. The decisions that keep you awake at 3 a.m., wondering if you got it wrong. And it comes from people who have enough access to your real fears to aim precisely, and enough social cover that calling it out would make you the one who ruined dinner. Your gut was right. That wasn't a joke. That was a referendum on your life wearing a family smile. Remember the first test? The casual jab at the bar? This one runs the same mechanism but buries it so deep in warmth that challenging it makes you the problem. The defense is the trap. This joke expects you to explain your choices, justify your path, prove you're not lost, because the explanation itself is the submission. It confirms the premise that your life needs the room's approval. When you don't provide it, when you look at them with calm, steady eyes, maybe a slight nod, maybe just a quiet, "Yeah, I'm good," you deny the test its oxygen. You answered without answering. You didn't freeze this time. You chose that silence on purpose. And the room felt the difference, even if nobody could name it. Here's the part no one talks about. The people who test others through humor, the jab throwers, the comparison makers, the ones who rank you through punchlines, are almost never doing it from security. They're doing it because their own position feels unsteady. The joke isn't confidence, it's a check. They need the room to confirm something they aren't sure of about themselves. And here's the uncomfortable layer underneath that. The people who test the most are usually the people who got tested earliest. It's a chain. Someone ranked them through humor years ago. A parent, an older sibling, a friend who learned the game before they did. And they absorbed the lesson that holding position means constantly checking everyone else's. They're not above you. They're running the same math you are, just from a different seat. That was never about humor. It was about uncertainty wearing a costume. And once you see that, really see it, the test stops feeling like an attack from above. It starts looking like information. About them. About what they need. About how little any of it actually has to do with you. You're not learning tricks here. You're learning to hear the frequency that was always playing underneath every laugh, every jab, every joke that landed a little too precisely to be random. Now every joke has subtitles. Which one of these made you think of a specific person? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear which test you've been living through without knowing what it was. If this is your first time here, subscribe. Every video on this channel gives you one more thing you can't unsee. The test is the same. Your answer won't be.